put it plainly, it was a repeat of the NFC Championship game. What is going on, y'all? 5 Sports Talk back at it with another video. Talking some NFL, talking Packers, Falcons in that Sunday night matchup in which the Atlanta Falcons throttled the Green Bay Packers at home in their new stadium. Shout out Arthur Blank and the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. 34-23, and believe me, folks, it was not as close as the score indicates, and I will be breaking that down very quickly. But where do I even start is the question here, because honestly, it was sick to watch this game if you were rooting for Green Bay side. And I'm not saying I was rooting for any side, but I guess it was more sickening to know that this was going to be a potential shootout, and it turned one-sided quick as hell, okay? Starting off very hot with a couple of touchdown runs by the running backs Devontae Freeman and Ty Montgomery. And then after that, Atlanta scored, and then Atlanta scored, and then Atlanta scored. And I sound like a broken record because that is exactly what happened. It was 24-7 at the half, okay? But here's the thing. I thought even though it was 24-7 at the half, that the Packers were not out of it, because I thought they just had a couple of players drop a couple balls. They were going to be okay. But little did I know, Jordy Nelson was going to be out for the rest of the game, okay? He left his game, I think it was in the first quarter. Sorry to all Jordy Nelson fantasy owners, including myself, okay? Because he gave you a donut, okay? But he had like a quad injury is what I read. Hopefully Jordy gets back and better than ever. But if Jordy Nelson is out for the year, that puts a huge dent into the Packers Super Bowl aspirations. Hopefully, it's not that serious. But Jordy's out, so now you're down to Davante Adams and Randall Cobb as your two main threats on the outside. And Ty Montgomery as your back, and Martellus Bennett as your tight end, okay? Martellus Bennett had so many egregious drops in this game. I swear to God, he had butterfingers or brick hands. He was dropping things left and right and then causing penalties on pick plays and whatnot. So, awful game for Martellus Bennett. He was more of a detriment than he was a help. But like I said, I thought the Packers still had a chance to be able to make it a game after halftime. And then what the hell happens? Aaron Rodgers gets fumbled, strip sacked, returned for a touchdown, and that's all she wrote. And you know what that's all she wrote? Because the ref said that's all she wrote. Because I thought it was a forward pass. Now, it was a very iffy play in terms of looking at it, because they looked at it multiple times. Aaron Rodgers basically threw the ball as he was getting sacked, and they said it was not a forward pass. It was behind him, and I thought he was aiming forward. I mean, he was getting hit. That's why the ball wobbled out of his hands, folks, okay? There's a reason why, you know, his ball's velocity went completely haywire when he got sacked by a freaking lineman or defender, whoever it was. I think it was Vic Beasley. And I thought that should have been Packers' ball still, but instead they called the call on the field as it stands, and it was a return fumble for a touchdown. And that's when I said, this game's pretty much a wrap. 31-7. The Packers can't cover anybody. They have Swiss cheese holes on all over their defense, okay? It is that bad. And you know what? Whatever happened with Seattle, it was a fluke, because you know what? This defense is still atrocious, and the only reason they played well against Seattle is because their offensive line can't block anybody, okay? Their offensive line is a revolving door. Seattle has problems of their own, and this is similar to with the Dallas Cowboys, where the New York Giants offense was so inept, it made their defense look better, and they got ripped apart by Trevor frickin' Siemian this week. Same thing with the Green Bay Packers, though they can hold their head up a little bit higher because they got ripped apart by the MVP last season, okay? Not Trevor freaking Siemian. But with that being said, they still got embarrassed, and they still lost this game. A lot of the yardage here was made up in garbage time. I mean, I'm not going to say the game was completely over. Freaking in the Super Bowl, you saw the Patriots come back from 25 points, so you never want to say never. But for the most part, in a large majority of these games, it never ends up happening where you come back from such a large deficit. And if you look here, Rodgers 33 for 50, 343 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He played okay. I thought he missed a couple throws for sure. That interception that he threw was awful. He completely overthrew his guy, and he threw it. It felt like he was throwing to the DB. That's how bad that interception was. It was just bad. Davante Adams led this team in receptions with 8 catches for 99 yards. He was pretty good. I think Randall Cobb ended up getting hurt as well. But Jordy being out really killed this damn team because you took away the best receiver, the best red zone threat, and now you got to depend on guys like Martellus Bennett, and you don't want to do that. But with that being said, Matt Ryan, 252 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interception. He didn't really have to do much in this game. I mean, he basically picked apart the Packers secondary early, but he let Devontae Freeman score at the goal line. I know Julio Jones got a lot of yardage, over 100 yards, but he didn't really score. Sanu had a couple of big receptions as well. He had a nice game for himself. But like I said, Matt Ryan didn't have to do a lot of heavy lifting in here. Devontae Freeman did it for him by scoring. But here's the problem with the Packers, and it's the same problem that they had last season. Their defense is just not good enough. They are not going to be able to compete for a Super Bowl if this defense is not addressed, or if Aaron Rodgers decides to have, and it feels weird saying it, an Aaron Rodgers season that's even better. You know what I mean? Like, he puts up literally 45 touchdowns to 6 interceptions, which he's very capable of, because this offense literally has to score every single second, okay? And a shout out one time to my Bears, though, because they held this Atlanta offense in check, and they could almost beaten the Falcons. So their Bears defense, really underrated, folks. Just wanted to throw that out there, even though they got their heads pounded in by Tampa Bay. But I thought that was more because of the loss of confidence, because your quarterback is Mike Glennon, than it is to do with the defense being bad, okay? They did have a couple injuries, but that's neither here nor there. But with that being said, same issues I see for the Green Bay Packers. I was fooled into thinking that Seattle win was going to be good and showed improvement on this team's defense. It's not the case. Seattle's offensive line is just inept, and don't buy into it. So moving forward, let's see what happens. Like I said, Aaron Rodgers is going to have to carry this team on his back, especially now with Jordy Nelson hobbled and possibly Randall Cobb hobbled, okay? So you're now down to Devontae Adams, Martellus Bennett, Geronimo Allison, maybe Jeff Janis, okay? So like I said, Aaron Rodgers is going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting, and that's a lot of load to put on his shoulders without the defense really doing anything. Atlanta side of things, they reminded me of the Falcons of last season. I still think this team is very good, and they're going to be at the top of their division, okay? But with that being said, this was more about the Packers than it was about the Falcons, because the Falcons basically showed that they were the same team as they were last year. Let me know what you guys think. This Packers team, they need to address their defense somehow, because this defense is not going to take them to the promised land. As much as I love Aaron Rodgers, I don't know if I would trust him with all of that heavy lifting on his shoulders. If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you guys want more NFL videos, please subscribe if you're not already subscribed to the channel, and thanks for watching.